Have you ever felt like there is something stopping you from doing the things you know you should and could do? I'm really excited about today's video blog because this is what I've been researching, this is what I've been reading about in self-development books and videos. And this will be looking at the cause behind our behaviors of not actioning something. My name is Petra. I'm the Nordic Career and Confidence Coach, the founder of the Flow Styler Coaching and the Kickstart Your Career Flow formula. Now, as humans, we are very much reason-led. So that means that everything we do for a reason. And sometimes those reasons are unconscious. So what that means is that there are forces that are working that we are not aware of, and I call those forces the bliss and burn forces. What does this mean? It means that these forces, which are called bliss and burn forces, we are sort of drawn to pain or pleasure in our reasoning, in everything that we do. Have you ever felt like there's been a time where you have wanted to do something but just couldn't seem to do the action? Let's say you wanted to leave a job which was unfulfilling or toxic, but for some reason you just couldn't get round to updating your CV, starting this job search. There was something blocking you. And sometimes this is you feeling that the activity itself of doing the action is more painful than staying in an unsatisfactory situation. And can you remember then a time when you suddenly had this urge to actually take action? Despite of everything, you've been putting it off and suddenly you were just like, no, I'm going to do it. This is it. What was it? What happened? What is the difference suddenly that you then took the action to do this? Well, what had probably happened is that the pain became too much of not actioning. So you then started to action so that you didn't have to stay in the unsatisfactory situation anymore. So what can we do about these sometimes underlying factors? And where do they come from? I mean, they come from our past coding, from our experience as a child, our experiences in life. And sometimes when we don't question them, we are sort of driven by them. So we are no longer in charge. So the exciting thing is, as humans, we're very adaptable. We can change. When we know about these things, we can then start to make, take a stand, say enough. I don't want these bliss and burn factors anymore directing my life. I want to take charge. So how do we do that? Well, I think the first step really is to be aware of it, being aware of them and making a decision that I want to make a change. So how can we be more aware of these bliss and burn factors? Well, I think the first thing is to remind yourself of what is important to you. What are your values? What are your standards? And what are your goals in life? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to become? Those are big sort of guiding factors in your life that will help you to overcome these bliss and burn factors. Once you are then aware of that these factors are sort of sometimes playing havoc in your life, asking yourself, when there is an activity that you're putting off, why or what are the reasons that I'm now putting this off? This is really important, because when we start to question, so identify what we're putting off and then questioning it, what we're doing is we're actually taking these sometimes false ideas, limiting beliefs out of our head and putting them on paper. And if they are real, these are real fears, real factors that are stopping us from moving forward, we can then start rationally to have a look at what we can do about it. And the second thing, once we have figured out what it is that is we are procrastinating on, and why we are doing that, is to have a look at what pain we have created around this activity. And sometimes even this activity isn't a necessary thing for us to do, so we can actually discard it. So actually thinking about it and then analyzing it, is this really something I need to do? But coming back to the pain side of things, what pain is there? And when you wrote down the list of why it is that you're putting this off, you will have probably hit on some pain factors as well. And as you're writing them down, you can then rebut them and have a look at, is this a realistic fear? Is this a realistic pain? Or what can I do about it? How can I turn this situation around? And I think this question, how can I turn this situation around, is a powerful question for us to ask, instead of saying, why am I not doing this? For the purpose of the exercise, this is an important question to ask that. But then after that, the next question is what can I do about it? And then once we have sort of identified these points, helping yourself to look at the positive side of things. What is the pleasure that I can get from actually doing this activity? Sort of, for example, when somebody wants to become more healthy and they find exercise very painful, the idea of exercise very painful, teaching yourself to view the activity of exercise as something pleasurable will help you to then action the activity itself. For example, for me, I know that if I don't exercise, my mental and physical health will suffer. And that is more important for me than not going on that run or doing the yoga that I need to do. And the last thing really is to write it all down. And stating to yourself what it is that you will be doing from now on, but also in the run of going through this exercise, being very kind to yourself, because many times we're not aware of these things, and there is no point in being harsh on ourselves and being forgiving, because many times these things have been coded into us from a very young age. So having a look at them now as adults will really help us to move forward, especially if we do these steps every time there is something that blocks us from going forward. And remember, success is very much about short-term pain sometimes, so that we gain long-term pleasure. So if we can turn that, be aware of that, and turn that short-term pain around, work through the fears and the allure of that chocolate, we can gain long-term pleasure in the long run. So if you've enjoyed this little clip today, please do come back next month, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I love to get some feedback, hear about how you're finding these. And I shall see you next month. Have a lovely month and see you soon. Bye now.